Hello, everyone. We are just getting started right now. Ileana, you can see I've made you co-host, so if you wouldn't mind watching the waiting room for me and letting in any students that you recognize, that'd be great. Um, as has been our ritual the last few times that we've met, I want to start off by reading. Now, we are moving on to our new novel, George Washington Gomez, this week, okay? However, we have a rough draft that is due today, okay? So normally, for the rest of the semester, basically, when we start, I will give you time to work on your George Washington Gomez reading, but today, okay, and probably until we make more progress, I want you to focus on The House on Mango Street, review whatever parts of the novel you need to that are gonna help you write. That's what we're going to be focusing on in class today, okay? So go ahead and take out The House on Mango Street. If you haven't finished it, you should be working on that right now. Yeah, I'll give everyone a few more minutes to log in, and then we'll get going with our lecture today. Ileana, I'm zeroing in on the middle of the board. Are you able to read what's up there? Yeah, you can see it okay? All right. Okay, everyone, please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. The thumbs up reaction symbol would be great. I know some of you have your cameras off, so really couldn't see. Good, thank you, Pedro and Melissa and Brandon. All right, so you can see that I have posted, or not posted, but I've typed into the chat the lesson plan for today. That's what I've written up on the board. I'm hoping that you can see that just fine. So yeah, hello guys, good morning. So yeah, I mean, the focus for today is to get you ready to submit your rough drafts. You have until 11:59 p.m. to do so. I'm gonna try and get the owl to look at me again. Hello. Is it kind of following me? It's on presenter enhance. Okay, well, I'll just move over here for a little bit and then maybe it'll start tracking. Yeah, so as I was saying, your rough draft is due today, okay? You are allowed to turn in your rough draft late, okay? But there's a risk that you run with that. So this week, we're not doing the discussion board, okay? I want you to focus fully on writing this essay, all right? The essay is worth 100 points, okay? The rough draft is the first big step in getting you to finish that essay, all right? So I want all of your writing attention to be devoted to this. If you turn it in on time, then you'll be able to participate in the peer review, okay? And the peer review is the next thing that's due, right? And that's due on Thursday. That's where you're gonna be able to interact with your classmates, okay? So that's kind of what discussion board is supposed to be, right? Class is supposed to be one opportunity for us to hear each other's voices, to hear how we each think when we're analyzing a story, right? Or we're putting together a claim or support. Well, we're not going to do discussion board because the peer review will give you that opportunity to read what your classmates have written, okay? So it helps all of us if we all write something, okay? Everyone, I think, understands a rough draft is rough. It's not polished, okay? I've tried to emphasize in the discussion boards how it's okay to make mistakes, right? We just need to be assertive and say what we think, okay? Same thing with the rough drafts. Tell me what you think. The most helpful thing is for you to actually write, especially for those of you who have not written yet, okay? This is a really important thing that you should not miss, okay? Write what you think, and then you'll get feedback on it. Your classmates will give you some feedback, okay? I am not going to provide detailed comments on the rough draft unless you want me to, okay? If you would like me to look closely at your rough draft, I will do that, okay? I'm always willing to look at comments, look and provide comments, okay? What I don't want to do is waste my time. And in the past, I've learned over teaching, right? You know, if I just provide comments for everyone, there's like 1 or 2 students who are going to look at it, okay? So I will provide comments if you would like. I just need to know that's what you want, all right? So you have the opportunity to get feedback from 2 different sources, your peers, your classmates who are trying to go through this learning experience with you, and myself, okay, who has taught this class before, and this is my job to help students learn how to write at a level that's appropriate for college writing, okay? So I will say though that I do plan to make a quick sweep of the rough drafts and look at your thesis statements, okay? Because that 1 sentence, 1 or 2 sentences is worth 15 points, okay? We have a 100-point paper. Your thesis is worth 15% of your grade, so the math comes out directly to 15 points, okay? No 1 sentence or 2 sentences is more important in your whole paper. So I will take the time to get that right. Let's say you're afraid of writing the introduction. I know that about half of you attempted to do the journal assignment last week. I've already given points out for that. If you got a half credit, it means you've got a lot of work to do to develop it. I appreciate your attempt. If you got a full point, it means that you've got a really good start on an introduction. But let's say you're really nervous about writing the intro and you need more time to think through it. At the very least, write a thesis statement, okay? Give it your best shot. Look at the paper prompt, see what it says is required to put in your thesis and write that, okay? That way I can give you quick feedback on that, okay? I can tell you if you're going in the right direction with your thesis or if there are some important things that are missing here, okay? So for this thesis statement, there are 3 questions that the prompt tells you you need to answer in that 1 or 2 sentences. What is Esperanza like in the beginning? What is she like at the end? All right. And what is this insight that she has that causes her to change? Okay. So I'm going to be looking when I look at your thesis statements for those 3 things. Okay. That brings me to something else. You're probably going to think you're repeating yourself a lot. Okay. Especially if you're writing the full intro, right? Because the context of the intro is common understanding. What do we know about Esperanza, right? Well, we know she wants, you know, X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. Okay. It is okay to strategically repeat your point. Okay. There are other things that you have to do in your context, like adding a lot of detail. Okay. You don't do that all in your thesis. You don't have room, but you should emphasize what it is that she is like, what her mindset is like at the beginning of the story. And if that means that you repeat yourself a little bit, that's okay. All right. So I know some of us have been brought up with this really rigid rule, you know, don't repeat yourself in a paper. Okay. I understand that rule. Okay. I'll let you know if I feel like you're violating it. Okay. But we do need to be strategic with our repetition. Okay. We have to know when we repeat ourselves. Okay. So when it comes to your thesis statement, that is a point that you need to make sure your audience understands. So it is okay to repeat something or to review, maybe is the way I would say it even more, right? To review what it is you want them to remember. Esperanza has this mindset at the beginning of the story. By the end of the story, she has this new mindset because she now believes what? Or she now thinks what? Okay. So for this rough draft today, it's okay if you don't have a full introduction, but have a thesis statement. If you have a thesis statement and you're struggling with your intro, I can really help you with that. Okay. At the very least, if you have a thesis, I can give you quick feedback on your rough draft and say you're on the right track, or no, you've got to develop a lot more. Okay. So write your thesis statements for today's rough draft. Okay. Well, I will give you time to do that, all right? We're gonna be spending most of this time actually doing that kind of writing. All right, so let's get started with the reflection. Boy, this is, oh, I know what I did. I just figured out why the camera's not working. I apologize. You have to all hear me talk to myself. There we go. Okay. All right. That's why they pay me the big bucks, because I can figure out how to use cameras. I'm just kidding. I don't get paid for that. All right. So what I would like you to do right now is to write a reflection. Okay. The reflection question is more about your own writing process right now. Okay. It's more about you assessing your confidence. What are things you're confident with? And what are things you're not confident with? So whether you're at home or you are in the classroom, log into our Canvas page and go to log into our Canvas website and go to the home page. Okay, I have your reflection question posted there as the guiding question for this week. I'm going to share my screen right now. I'm not going to share my screen yet. Okay, my screen should be available for you to see. The guiding question, the reflection question are the same for this week for all of you. For those in class, I will make sure to write it on the board. But it is, what writing skills are you confident with right now? Okay. Now I listed all of the skills that we have discussed in class to this point right below. Okay. You can see they start with making a claim, and then providing reasons to back up the claim, and then followed by evidence, right? Other skills that we have talked about, providing well-developed support sandwiches, describing the common understanding. Now, the stuff that I just talked about, that was the first 2 weeks, making a point, right? These are all the things you should recognize are required for making a point. You need to make a claim, got to back it up with reason, and then 2 support sandwiches. That's where the evidence is, okay? So you can even group those together as one set of skills that are all related to writing a body paragraph, okay? Now, the last few skills are all related to writing the introduction. Do you know how to establish common understanding, okay? That is a hard skill, but it's one that we need to start practicing now. You will develop mastery with it by the end of the semester if you keep up, okay? And I can already see from the journals last week, some of you are already demonstrating very strong understanding of how to establish common understanding. Okay, recognizing a problem with that common understanding, okay? That's the problem portion of the paper, right? Now, we could also look at this as, what is Esperanza's problem, okay? That, if you can answer, think of it answering it that way, right? What is Esperanza's problem? What's keeping her from getting what she wants, okay? What is causing her to not develop maybe in the way that she thinks she needs to be developed? All right, and then making a thesis statement. We just talked about that. I won't belabor that point anymore right now. And then finally, it's writing complete sentences, okay? That's the grammar lesson that we have looked at so far. We will get one more grammar lesson before your final draft is due. And for some of you on your mini essay, I've already previewed that, and that is run-on sentences, okay? Run-on sentences basically occur when we smash 2 complete sentences together and we don't do it properly. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way, okay? So don't worry too much about grammar for the rough draft. Okay, I want you all to feel free to write, all right? Just make sure that you are doing your best, okay? But you don't need this super detailed proofreading stage before your rough draft is submitted, okay? We will work on proofreading next week because that's when it matters for submitting the final draft, okay? So look at those skills, okay? Right now, let's take a couple of minutes. Which ones do you feel confident with? Okay, let's identify our strengths right now, okay? So for the first part of the reflection, we'll do it in stages. I would like you to identify the skills from that list that you feel confident with. Go ahead and start reflecting on that, okay? Yes, it's on the home page. So as soon as you, the guiding question is underneath the Zoom details.
And we answer those on a separate piece of paper, right?
Answer them wherever they're going to help you the most. Some of us like to write it out with a pencil, right, or pen, and others, you know, if you want to type it out, that helps you too. Okay, either one, it's open to you how you would like to do it. Everyone, Alejandro asked a really good question. You know, where should we write this? Stephanie asked a similar question in the class. It's really for your personal growth. I would write it where you can see it throughout the course of the semester. One way that we can assess how we're improving is by looking at, well, where do we feel confident with our skills, right? So it is perfectly fine for you to document that you only feel confident with one skill, or maybe even none of these at this point, okay? Because hopefully, as you grow, as the semester continues, you start to look at these same skills and think, okay, I have much more confidence with them now, okay? So write it where you are likely to return to it, okay, so you can see it. Okay, now looking at these same set of skills, and some of you I bet have already anticipated what's next, I want you to reflect on what are you struggling with for the rough draft right now, okay? What are the skills that you don't feel confident with? Ones that you would like to maybe discuss more in class right now, or find another way to improve on. So take a look at the same list and identify underneath what you felt confident with, what are those that you're struggling with, and how can you strengthen those skills? Okay, everyone, I'm gonna take attendance. So if you could please unmute yourself and chime in when you hear your name. Appreciate that. Okay, Luis,
Here.
thank you. Ryan. Here. Thank you, Ryan. Emily.
Here.
Great. Okay. Brandon,
Here.
good morning. Pedro. Pedro,
Here.
thank you. Alejandro,
Good morning, Professor.
morning. Angel,
Here.
good morning. Jasmine, I know you're here, great. Christopher,
Here.
good morning. Angeli,
Here.
good, all right, thank you. Dyra, I know you're here. Richard. Is Richard here? Okay. Stephanie, you're here. Gladys,
Here.
great, thank you. Joel. Is Joel here? Okay. Melissa, I know. Melissa, are you here online?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome, thank you. Consuelo. Consuelo. No, okay. Yadira? Yadira?
Here.
Good morning, thank you. Maria? Is Maria here? All right, and Ruben?
Here.
Ruben, great, thanks. Okay. Okay, everyone, so I want to do a quick poll. I'd like you to type in the skill that you feel most confident with, okay? So for those of you who are on Zoom, please just type it into the chat. If there is a skill that you feel very confident with, okay, please type that in now. And for those of you in class, is there a skill that you guys feel, I understand it pretty well, I know what I'm doing with it? Yeah, Stephanie?
I would do the sandwiches.
The sandwiches, you feel like you know what to do in that
The
part.
format, it's like clear. It's getting clear.
Good, it's getting more clear. Okay. Do others feel confident with the support sandwich? Not so, okay, that's fine. That's what I wanted to hear. Dyra, how do you feel with it? A little bit, you're okay? Jasmine, how about yourself? How do you feel with the support sandwiches?
Okay.
Okay with them? Okay. What are other ones that are there any of those skills that you guys feel confident with? Yeah, Dyra? The reasoning? Providing a reason, okay, good.
The introduction.
You feel good with the introduction? Yeah, no, based on your journal, I can see that you feel good with the introduction. That's good. That's a really, really good skill. Okay, so looks like we feel better about support. Okay, whether it's reasoning or the sandwiches for some of us. Okay, let's see what our classmates said on Zoom here. All right. Okay, Melissa, you feel confident with the support sandwiches. Angeli, that's the first part of the intro. Okay. Citing evidence, providing well-developed support sandwiches. Good. Okay. So one thing that I'm noticing right away, okay, I'm happy to hear that some of us feel confident with the support sandwiches. That's important. That will serve you well. Same thing with the reasoning, okay? I'm glad that we need to provide a because, okay? But what we have to remember that all of this is attached to is a claim, okay? We need to feel, that's something for us to work on then, okay? As we progress through, let's make that a focus for all of us in class and at home. By next week, I want us to develop more confidence with that claim, okay? So I want you all to think, what do you need to do, right, to develop that confidence? And I'm gonna think, what can I do to help you guys with that a little bit more, okay? Because that is something that I want that to be the first thing that you all feel confident with, right? You use your claim in two basic places, the thesis and topic sentences. Every paragraph must begin with a claim, okay? I'm making an inference here based on what I see and what I'm seeing in the chat. I am happy that there are some of you who do feel confident with the introduction. That's good, okay? We will continue to work with that. What are some things though, from your perspective that you want more confidence with, that you don't feel super confident with right now? So let's move to the other side of this table. What is it that needs work? For those of you at home, please type that into the chat, see if we can get a common theme. And for those of you in the classroom, what are some things that you wrote down that you want to work on more? Was it Ryan? Or?
Yeah.
Good, Ryan, what's something that you want to get more confident with?
The sandwiches?
The sandwiches, okay. Can be on both, there's no reason why not. Good. All right, other things? Yeah, Tyra?
For me, it's like having detail, like going into detail, like why that supports the claim.
That's analysis, right? Yes. Good. Okay, we will get there. In fact, I posted a voice thread this week that walks you through an example of analysis. Okay, and I posted a handout, okay, for how you can organize your ideas before you get started with writing. So I'm glad you pointed this out. Ryan, this is the final element of the support sandwich. The first is context. The second is the quote. Now you always need a signal phrase before the quote. I just, just for shorthand to get the list out here, okay? So I want you to develop this mantra, okay? This thing that you can repeat to yourself over and over again. The support sandwich is three things: context, quote, analysis. Context, quote, analysis. That is your pattern for presenting evidence in this class, okay? And really, you will see this outside in writing all over, okay? Not just this class. We generally need to know, well, where are you getting this evidence from? That's what context tells us, okay? Context in this case would be what's happening in the story right when you're pulling this quote out. Who's talking to who and why, okay? That's context. The quote, that's the actual evidence. That's the thing that we all can see for ourselves. We don't interpret it the same way necessarily, but that's why you have evidence in there, because you are going to explain how this one thing that everyone else sees, you attach it to this claim, okay? And that's what analysis does. It explains why the quote supports the claim that you've made in your topic sentence. So if you say something like, Esperanza is independent, right? Whatever the evidence is for that, okay, it might not be obvious that she's independent, okay, from that quote. The analysis explains how the details of that quote support the idea that she is independent, okay? So look at the voice thread for those of you at home. If analysis is something that you want to increase your strength on, okay, great. I would say when we're prioritizing skills, okay, at this early part of the semester, right, this is like advanced skill, okay? You need to have your foundations in place. Your claim, okay, and your reason and support sandwiches. Those things need to be really solid before you start working on making this part grow, okay? And Daira, you're good to go with that, okay? I fully support you working on analysis, okay? So, yeah, anyway, yeah, when we're thinking of like, how do we prioritize these skills? The claim is number one. Your paper goes nowhere if you don't have a claim. If you start with a fact, the house on Mango Street is written by Sandra Cisneros, it's like, What do you say next? Okay, but if you start with a claim, Esperanza becomes independent. Okay, it's like, oh, now we know what you need to do. You need to give me a reason. Well, how do we know? Well, because of this. All right, well, prove it. Well, here's one example. Here's another example. Quote one, quote two. Okay, so good, excellent. Support sandwiches, analysis, these are things we can grow on. Angel, yes, I agree. Me too with the writing, right? Making my essay make sense. This is where the claim comes in. When you know how to craft claims, your essays will make sense because we can draft an informal outline. We have a list of your claims, right? It's kind of like a Cliff's Notes. Do you guys know what Cliff's Notes is? I'm trying to think what's the big thing now. Well, like, let's say you don't want to read a book like The House on Mango Street and you wanted to find a summary of it online, okay? Back in the day, we had Cliff's Notes, okay? It was like this full detailed summary of like big novels that you didn't want to read. There are all kinds of websites now that provide that kind of same service, right? Well, think of your claims in an informal outline as that shortened version of the story, right? We don't get bogged down with all the reason and evidence. We just want to see, how does this paper make sense? You should be able to list all of your claims, the topic sentences for each paragraph in a row, and look down and be like, can I see how this is all connecting? Okay. So the pre-write that I gave you all for this week is draft an informal outline. Okay. I think you should do that before you write your rough draft. Okay. We're actually going to get to that in the next stage on the writing process. So Angel, yeah, making your paper make sense. I would bring that back to, that's where making claims is important. Okay. I'm going to put that here. Great. Thank you for that, Angel. Brandon, you said the thesis statement. That's exactly right. Gladys, same thing. Those are claims. Okay. That's the big claim, and everything else has to follow from that. Okay. You know, you guys, when we talk about the thesis, or when I mentioned it earlier as this big sentence that so many points are attached to, if you can write that thesis, you've got a blueprint for the paper, right? You know, a blueprint is what a contractor uses to design the building, to show this is the way it's going to look. Okay. And it's at the structural level, right? These walls go here, these entryways go here. Okay. Your thesis is doing that same thing. Remember, the thesis has to answer 3 questions. Okay. What is she like in the beginning? What is her mindset like at the end? And what's the insight? What's the very first body paragraph going to be about in your paper? Which claim? Well, the thesis, let's do a quick little outline here. All right, I'm going to do this right here. Everyone, let's just do this right now, okay? I want you to answer these 3 questions, all right? We're all going to make sure we have a thesis statement right now. What is Esperanza's mindset in the beginning? Okay. Okay, so for those of you at home, make sure you are answering this right now. What is Esperanza like in the beginning? Okay, so second question that you need to answer in your thesis. What is her mindset in the end? All right, then the last question. What's the insight that she gets? Okay. If it made more sense for you to answer these individually right now, that's fine. Make sure you have 3 sentences in a row that start your rough draft. The first sentence, the second sentence, and the third. Make that, set it aside. That's like the first paragraph, okay? But we know by the time the final draft comes, that's going to work together as 1 sentence or maybe 2 sentences, and that is going to appear at the end of your introduction. That will not be a paragraph by itself, it will be the finale of the introduction. From there, though, we know the intro is always at the beginning of your paper. What will be the very first body paragraph based on your thesis, based on these questions? Which question will we answer first? Yes. The very first topic sentence will actually be this claim again, okay? You're going to be telling me, what is she like at the beginning? You've got to prove it to me. This is where we really drive home the point. Okay, you can't just say stuff without evidence, right? One thing is claiming something, and that's what the introduction is. The introduction is a bunch of claims. You know, it's claims that are presented in an orderly way to help us understand, why is this worth knowing? Okay, that's what all of this is about. Why are we looking at this? Okay, why is this worth knowing? What exactly are you trying to point out to us here? Okay, but now you got to prove it. And that's what the body paragraphs are for. Okay, your very first topic sentence is actually going to be a paraphrase or a restatement of your answer to this first question here. What is her mindset in the beginning? So I urge you in the lectures that I posted yesterday, and you can go back and look at those in the week 5 module, to think about Esperanza, like slice her up into 4 stages, okay? Each stage is a body paragraph, okay? You need to claim, what is she like in each of these paragraphs, okay? We're looking for signs of change, okay? This is what she is like initially, right? So, Angel, when you talk about wanting to make sense in your paper, we should be able to list all of your claims, right? And the first one is directly connected to the thesis. What's going to be the last claim? Where would we get that from? Again, we go back to our thesis. It's going to be, what is she like in the end? Okay. It's going to be some combination of these 2 things here. Okay. So this is what I mean when I say the thesis statement blueprints the whole paper. It gives us a starting point and it gives us an ending point. We know she's going to begin this way. We know she's going to end up this way. Okay. So really the hard part, and that's not accounted for exactly in your thesis, is the middle 2, okay? What's the path that leads her to this new insight? What's the path that leads her to this new mindset, okay? All right, and that's where your papers are really going to distinguish themselves from each other. We're not all going to see things in the same way, okay? Does this make sense? Okay, at least in principle, right? But practice is another thing. Yeah, Stephanie,
So
what's your
the
question?
first paragraph, well, after we're done with the introduction, the
Right.
first paragraph will be about the beginning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we cut it out, the separate, like the reasonings, or do we just go to the second one?
Oh, no, this is just an outline. When you're actually writing, yeah, you need to bring in a reason for that first claim, and then support sandwich number 1, support sandwich number 2. But when you start doing this level of detail, that's no longer an informal outline. That becomes a formal outline, okay? So it all depends on what you're ready for, okay? If you just want to quickly check, does my paper make sense? Just look at the topic sentences, pull them all out together and list them. Can we see she's this way in the beginning, she's this way next, after that she changes this one more time, and then finally she arrives at this new stage in her life where she's able to do this thing or she's thinking this other way, okay? So yeah, this is just to make sure, all right, am I happy? Can I see her development in a big picture overview, okay? Now, when you're ready to write, yeah, you've got to start to fill in, okay, well, what's my reason for believing that she's got this mindset in the beginning? And then, well, what's my first quote? And then what's my second quote, okay? So this level of detail, you know, some of us are really, we like to plan and we like to do that level of detail at the beginning. If you're like that, go for it, okay? Some of us aren't going to figure out what our reasons and quotes are until we just start writing, okay? So, but at the very least, all of us need to have direction. All of us need to know where to go. And these topic sentences help us know where to go, okay? You need to know what you're looking for, okay? All writing is painful when you don't know what evidence to gather. You're just kind of swimming through the novel, rereading the novel. It's a waste of time to start again at the beginning of the novel and reread it, okay? What you should do is reread it with purpose. I'm going to reread this section of the story because it's going to help me understand her initial mindset. I'm going to reread the middle section, right? Maybe that chapter on Sally or Edna's Ruthie, right? Because I think that's going to help me understand where she's like in the middle part, okay? So be selective with what you choose to reread. Okay. Anyone at home have any questions about the relationship between claims and how we are developing the body of our paper? Any of the things that we've talked about here? Okay, so this is a good time to transition to the drafting process, okay? Let's share my screen one more time. All right, so I'm back on our home page for this week. We're in the week 5 module. I'm going to enter into the week 5 module now. Okay, so the lecture page I'm now going to talk about is a drafting process, okay? The stuff that I was just talking about is here in a return to reason, assembling the body of the paper, okay? The informal outline that you see up here, there's a pre-write online for you, okay? So like I've got all of this filled out and you just need to copy, paste, and then plug in, okay? If that's something that you think is going to help you, okay? All right, so now a drafting process. Okay, words, words, words. Which ones matter most? The ones right here in the center, okay? Look at these 8 steps, okay? This is the way I see as a path to writing, okay? And for those of you who are in class, I'm going to pull it up here for you. Giving the in-class system just a chance to catch up here. Okay, all right, so for those of you in class and those of you at home, we're looking at the 8 steps right now. Okay. So what I want you to do is to figure out which step are you at right now, okay? Some of these later steps, like what I just was reviewing here, this informal outline, that will not make any sense to you if you don't understand the prompt, if you don't have a topic, if you don't have a problem, okay? If you don't know what Esperanza's problem is, okay? So if this didn't make any sense to you, you need to go back to the earlier steps, okay? Some of us might be on a step that's not even included here, which is finishing the novel, okay? How can you write completely, right, if you haven't read the whole thing? The answer is you can't, but you can write enough for this rough draft, okay? And I want to remind all of you that. Maybe you can't speak about Esperanza at the end of the story yet. Okay, well, what can you talk about? You can talk about her in the beginning of the story. You can probably write the first 2 body paragraphs, okay? What is she like initially, right? And then maybe what's the next step, okay? That's probably close to 2 pages right there. And then you throw in your incomplete introduction at this point. Okay, well, what does she want? You should be able to answer that if you've read the beginning of the story. And then the next one, the what's getting in the way of what she wants? Well, that depends on how far you've read and how closely you've read. So that might be a little harder. But at the very least, you can answer this first question here about the thesis, which is also the first part of the introduction. Who is Esperanza? What does she want? What is her initial mindset? Okay. So even if you have not completed the novel, you can do something, okay? And that's what this rough draft is all about, all right? Do something, write something. If you write something, your classmates can help you out. They can give you some perspective. They might even help you identify evidence that might be missing, right? Oh, you should look at this page or this part of the story, okay? I'm writing about something similar. Great, that's super helpful. You don't get that opportunity if you don't write anything, okay? And then of course, I'm gonna be looking at them too, all right? So do what you can. I would like you right now, no matter what stage of the writing process you are in, I want you to write, okay? I want you to work on this rough draft right now. If you've got to read a little bit more, okay. If you wanna do the pre-writes and the informal outline, that's fine. If you're ready to start filling out body paragraphs, go do that, okay? I want us to spend some time writing while I'm here and I can answer questions that you have, okay? We can do little one-on-one. It won't be one-on-one, obviously, the whole class can hear, you know, but they can also benefit from some of the questions you might have. So get out your stuff, start writing your paper, okay? And then I'll be around to answer any questions that you have. Yeah, Stephanie.
Is there like any format that you would say that it would help for us to complete the 4 pages, like, oh, do two things in this 1 page? And,
Well, I'm thinking about format, and here's how I understand the question. You know, there's not one way, okay? If you're ready to write body paragraphs because you don't know what her problem is, then just write body paragraphs, okay? Just write the first 2, okay? If it helps you to start with your thesis and then move into your 2 body paragraphs, then do that, okay?
I just want to make sure I finish like also the 4 pages. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that should be everyone's concern. How do we get to those 4 pages? I think making an informal outline helps the most with that, right? If you want to make sure you're not saying the same thing over and over again, then you need a plan, okay? Breaking down her stages of development. What is she like initially? What are those middle stages like? And what is she like at the end? That will help you the most, okay? Because you'll know what you're going to say, okay? You should plan for at least 4 body paragraphs. So that means 4 stages, right? I might even encourage you to go for 5 because you can always cut it out if it's not going anywhere or if you've got plenty, okay? It's way harder if you underplan, if you only go for 3, okay? And yeah, you're just gonna come up short. So I would say if you're worried about meeting the page length, do your informal outline. I will show you all where that is. And I'll make sure to get it up here for you in class too. All right, so in the week 5 module, the informal outline pre-write, something I highly recommend. It's on the lecture page called A Return to Reason. You can see how I've simulated a breakdown of this character and the questions you should be answering into 4 parts. But here is the hyperlink to the informal outline. Okay, so for those of you at home, you can see this is just for practice. Okay, I would encourage you to copy and paste that structure into this box here and fill it out. Okay, that will, if you can do all 4, you'll give yourself the best chance to meet the full page requirement. Okay. So for those of you in class, let's pull that up here. So there's the page, A Return to Reason. These are the questions that I've been discussing with you here. You know, imagine part 1 is chapters 1 through what, right? What would we group as the initial stage and so on? Those are some things that might help. But ultimately here is the pre-write that will force you to kind of organize those things, okay? Just copy and paste. Okay, and then you plug in, okay? What's Esperanza's problem? Write that, the thesis, and so on, okay? Especially filling out these parts there. That will help you know where to look and what parts to reread, okay? All right. I'll be checking the chat for questions. You're free to send me a direct question. You're free to unmute yourself and ask a question that others will be able to hear if you want. It's up to you.
Professor Gardner,
Yes. Who's speaking?
Angel
Cool,
Lara.
great. Hey, Angel, what's up?
I have a question. I was wondering for the rough draft that's due today, does it have to be the 4 pages or for the rough draft or 2? Okay.
If you can
Thank you.
write two full pages, that is enough to finish the rough draft and to be able to participate in the peer review. If you write less than 2 pages, I won't let you participate in the peer review, okay? So that is a minimum. We gotta value other people's time, right? So I don't want a classmate looking at like, worst case scenario, I've seen like a 2-sentence rough draft. It's like, no, that's not, you can't do anything with that, right? And that's preventing someone else from getting a good peer review. So 2 full pages. Good question.
Hey, Professor, I'm
Yes.
having with that document you have on the share screen.
Uh-huh.
That under modules.
That is in the week 5 module. I'll take you there right now. I'm on the share screen. You select the week 5 module from the home page.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then you go into a return to reason, assembling the body of the paper. Scroll down. And you'll see it's called the pre-write informal outline. And then you just open it up and you can start working on it there. Alejandro, does that help?
Thank you, Professor. Yes, it does.
Great.
I actually clicked on because I follow your steps, but it took me to I guess I clicked on the wrong one.
Okay.
Oh, I thought this was a quiz, but it's not a quiz, huh?
It's so, yeah, don't be daunted by that. You know, this is Canvas's language, but notice it says practice quiz. So there's no way it's going to impact your grade. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's just practice. That's all.
Is there any way that we could go back to the journal and look at what we got?
Yeah, you should be able to access it because I don't have a limit on how many times you can submit it.
Because it only gives me the option to retake it. But I
It
just-
doesn't let you see the previous one. Can you go to the screen? Let me see. Because that's one of the reasons why I like doing this. Because I want you to be able to see.
Okay,
Can you try those dots right there? and see?
let's see, that's the second.
Maybe I have to change the format. So I made this like a practice, like a quiz. And it may not want you. Let me see if I can change the setting. Thank you for letting me
Or
know.
maybe it's because I'm on the computer.
I'm sorry?
Maybe on the computer it does.
Yeah, sometimes the Canvas app just sucks. Let's see if I can do something.
Hey, Professor. So we're answering these questions based on what you wrote on the board earlier. Like, what is Esperanza like in the beginning? What is her mindset in the end? And what's the insight she gets?
Yeah, so that was something we were doing earlier. That will help you write your thesis statement. Okay. So let's say you're doing this informal outline practice quiz. Those responses that I wrote on the board, you can just, after you've written those out, you can plug those into your thesis. Okay. And that will guide you with coming up with the next set of topic sentence claims. Okay. So those questions that I typed into the chat, you answer those, you've got yourself a thesis statement. You do the outline. And you would just copy and paste it right here in the response thesis.
Mister,
Yes.
can we write the same thing we wrote for the journal entry?
Yeah, definitely, especially if you have the problem. In fact, one of your classmates was having difficulty looking at what, like she was trying to find what she had submitted, and for some reason the Canvas app isn't letting her see it. I'm trying to change the settings right now. So I want to do what I can so that way you can see, okay, your what you submitted. Okay. Who was it that asked the question? Was it Angela?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I would like you to try to go back into the week 4 journal, see if you can see it. If you can't, just let me know, and then I will copy and paste what you wrote, and I'll email it to you. Okay, I can do that right now if you want.
Oh, well, I can see mine. And also, yeah, I can see it through Canvas.
Julie, are you using a PC or are you using like a phone device or a tablet?
Well, I'm using Canvas in my iPad, so I'm using the app.
You're using the app in your iPad and you can see it. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Stephanie, I just sent it to you.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, I want everyone to be able to see the journal. I did change the settings. So would you mind checking again on the week 4 journal option to see? No, okay. I emailed it to you. And I'll try to arrange those journals in a different way so you are able to see your responses.
what I did was just copy the question and then copy my answer and put it on the document.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'll make that suggestion in the future in the directions. I need to find out how Angela was able to do it though. Because she was making it sound as if she could see it from the week 4 journal. So
I think from my iPad, I can see it too.
you can see it from your
Yeah,
iPad.
Like I use the app, right? But
Yeah, because I had it here, but it wouldn't allow me to go back and see my work. It would just like
sometimes the way it shows up is like, you know, when he grades it and then you could click like the rubric or like the file that you submitted, sometimes it shows up there. You know,
So that's a great, so go into grades
Oh.
because technically you get a grade for this, but I try to make it as little of a grade as possible, like 1 point. So that way it's not going to impact, you know, anything. That's a great suggestion.
yeah.
You can see it? Okay. Thank you. Great idea. I will make sure to suggest that to classmates. Okay, everyone, if you wanted to see your journal, What you posted initially, Dyra helped me and Stephanie kind of find our way through it. If you want to see your first journal response for week 4, let's say you wanted to use that to help you to complete this next pre-writing exercise, you can go under grades and you select the grade for week 4 journal, and then you'll be able to see not only the grade, obviously, but all my comments, and you'll see what you initially wrote. Okay, so that's another way to access it. And Dyra, you mentioned improving analysis. This voice thread here on gathering and analyzing evidence. Oh, sorry, you can see it right up there. The voice thread here on gathering and analyzing evidence, and this handout there. The voice thread will kind of model how to take a quote and how to use that in the handout to help you develop what will be more detailed and connected analysis. Okay. So yeah, that's there for you, and I think that'll help strengthen that skill. After you've looked at those, and after, let's just see how you do with the rough draft. And but then we can always meet if you want and talk about ways to improve it more. Okay. Okay, everyone. A couple more things I wanted to show you before we close out for today. So first things first, where do you submit this? Okay, well, in the week 5 module, you will see a link. It's essay 1 rough draft. There is only one link for the rough draft. I don't do a turn it in link for the rough draft. Okay. You select that, and then you will see the prompt again. Just scroll down. There should be an area for you to upload your file. Okay. In fact, I'll put this in student view in just a second. But what you can see from my screen below the prompt, all right, is the essay 1 rubric. Okay. This is what you will be using as a peer reviewer. Okay. And all you're going to have to do is select which of these boxes describes what you see in front of you. Okay. So you'll see here context and problem. How would you assess the context and problem for your classmate? Were they at the mastery level? Were they at partial mastery, progressing, or emerging? Okay. And I ask you to rate those for a few different categories: context and problem, thesis, body, support, which is more like your reasoning and evidence and analysis, like how good is what you've put in there, conclusion, language, and so on. All right. So those are the things that you will be assessing them on. There's not much writing here. It's more reading and then kind of evaluating. Okay. I do encourage you, though, to provide suggestions to your classmates. Okay. If you notice something specific that you want to highlight that you think's really strong, great. Tell them that. Hey, you're doing awesome with claims. Okay. I know exactly what the point is you're trying to make here. And then you point out something where they can improve, right? But more evidence is needed. I only saw one quote in this paragraph. Should probably have at least 2. Or I see quotes, but I don't see analysis. Okay, I don't know how that quote supports the claim that you made at the beginning. Okay, so you can write, but at the very least, you need to label. Okay, mastery, partial mastery, progressing, or so on for the various categories that we have. All right, that's you will all be, if you turn it in on time today, then you will be put into a peer review group automatically. That will be done by tomorrow morning. Okay, so by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, if you're interested in waking up that early, you'll see what peer review group you're in. If you're not in one, email me right away and I will find a way to fix it, okay? If you don't turn it in on time, you're not gonna get into a group, okay? So turn it in on time to participate in the peer review. All right, let's see what you will see as a student. There you go. I bet if you click this button right here, start assignment, that's where you'll be asked to upload it, okay? And you can see that's what you do. Upload it there. Make sure that you are using Word doc or PDF. So
Professor,
that's how, yes.
I'm sorry. So for the peer, once we're in the group, on Thursday, like how does that work?
I will send out an email tonight with a walkthrough, like a picture walkthrough of what to do to access your peer review, okay? To explain how to go about it, okay? So yeah, be on the lookout for an announcement. If you're viewing your announcements through your email, you're probably not going to see the pictures. So you're going to have to log into Canvas to see the screenshot walkthrough that I'm going to provide for you, okay? So if you're getting an email, that's good. You're probably not going to see the pictures. Instead, go to the Canvas website. Once you get that email, go into our announcements and you'll see the announcement about how to do the peer review, okay? So that'll be there. All right, last thing I wanted to show you, if you submitted your mini essay and you submitted it on time, it's been graded. I want you to know how to see my comments, okay? So I posted this little video that I made for another English 100 class a few semesters ago. And you can see by selecting that link, it's called Video Feedback on Mini Essay, and that's in the week 5 module. And it'll just take you to a YouTube video that I made. Everyone, I wanted to make a quick video. All right. Don't be thrown off because the format of Canvas is a little bit different. This was a summer school class that I made the video for. So you'll see something like it says module week 1, section C. You know, ignore that. That's because summer school is 6 weeks and we're 18 weeks, right? So what matters more is that you know, okay, there's this video here and it's going to show you how to find your grade. It's going to show you how to find my comments. My comments come in 2 different formats, okay? You'll see that I will have comments written on the side here, okay? Once you open up your grades, you'll be able to see those comments if they're there. The other way that I provide comments is I will highlight sometimes parts of your writing. And if you select those highlights, sometimes I have comments in the highlight. And here's an example of it. For those of you that are in class, I need to show you what that looks like. Okay, so for those of you in class, you can see the 2 different kinds of comments, those that appear on the side. You can see the highlights that I put here. And then notice the blue is associated with the highlight. That means this comment is about that blue highlight right there, okay? That's helpful for pointing out like your claim and what I liked or not, or didn't, you know, your support sandwiches, and possibly grammar issues like fragments or run-ons, okay? So please take a look at my comments if you turned in a mini essay, okay? If you didn't, turn them in. I would say focus on the rough draft right now, but as soon as you're done with that rough draft, go back and do the mini essay, okay? I will grade that and give you feedback on it as soon as I can, okay? For those of you that turned it in late, like late last week, I will get it to you today, okay? I want you to have comments before the rough draft. Okay, any other questions about where you're at in the writing process or what to do? All right, well, my last tip for you is don't think, just write right now. If you're really stuck, okay, just start writing, all right? I can help you when I have something to look at, okay? All right, everyone, good luck. Feel free to email me if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you for a good class. I will see you next week.
Professor.
Yes.
So we just have to, but